Friday evening techno team. All right, so there's some exciting stuff we're going to do today. We're really going to dial this in and show you what's about to come. Yesterday, we were warning about electromagnetic peaks and agitation levels and why the people in our communities and how the people in our households are going to be affected by this. It's going to activate their defensive design. Now, before we even go to the predictions page, I just want to do a quick review here, but I want to open up the space-time clock on the homepage first. We put this here because I want you to get used to navigating to this page, opening this up, and taking a look at what the electromagnetics are. Don't even worry about this in the meantime, but these top three are very important, okay? These top three are showing combined agitation levels, third-person agitation levels, and first-person agitation levels. And this is 24 hours. Now, I've timed this. I've timed this video this morning with the P frequencies. We literally just went into a new P frequency, and this is the 12 hours before the solstice is coming. So we're 12 hours away from the summer solstice, and you can see that exchange that's going to happen right here. And we're now starting to get into that heavy, heavy purple area of agitation. All right, so that's why this technology is so cool. That's why we have the space-time clock on the homepage. Pretty soon, you're not going to have to go to the predictions page, but this is still useful, and this is why. So on the predictions page, when we get to these 4-day charts, it's just so easy to scan to see what's coming because it gives you a broader view of what's about to happen. So yesterday, this is where we were. And now today, this is where we are. And we're actually in this last 12-hour section before we get to this violent exchange, which means this second 12-hour period, this is a pretty good peak right here. This is what we're looking at specifically. This is what we're looking at here. Okay. I'm going to connect these dots for you, but this is how space-time reality is manipulating our defensive design. And not every single person is going to experience this moment the same way. That's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to fire up my technology. I'm going to fire up my personal tool, and I'm going to show you how different users, different people in my family and in my life are going to be affected differently, even though the collective populations are going to be agitated by these moments. Now, before I do that, I want you to know this as well. So we've taken this technology and I've literally mapped out backwards. I went 150 years backwards, and then I synchronized it with like when people would start revolutions, or when there would be protests, or when there would be drama, or when chaos would unfold. It follows this pattern. The higher this pattern goes, the more chaotic it becomes. The less this pattern is, that's when we start to stabilize again. And some years have a lot more polarity than other years. We can get into that in further conversations, but this is literally the pattern that is creating organized chaos. And it looks chaotic because when you see how individual users are affected differently by this pattern, you're going to understand why it looks to be like it's a random thing. It's not random at all. Once you know someone's birth time, once you understand their internal rhythms, you can understand how they're going to experience this moment and the probability of them being defensive and making things harder for them and the people around them. All right, so give me a minute here and I'm going to transition over to the other technology. All right. Okay, so I've opened up my downloadable HRT tool. I've got my rhythmic data in here. Now, if we don't look at the rhythmic data here on either side, this is literally just a space-time clock display. And on the homepage are all the space-time clocks. It's just this technology. We wrote a little code that just constantly keeps updating the time, and that's how we create the live feed, and we set it to universal time. So this is exactly the same clock. We just started a new sequence. The time bar is just about to start here, and I'm going to bring it. I have a modified page on mine. I'm going to bring it to the electromagnetic so you can see. This is exactly what I just showed you on the live feed. We're 12 hours away from the summer solstice, and this is that peak that we're concerned about right now. We just got into this peak, and what I want to do is I want to show you how we're calculating this from the homepage. All right. So I want you to look at the micro P's here. I want you to look at the macro P's here. I want you to look at the macro E, the micro M, and the micro M. And they've got these mesh colored boxes kind of on top of the letters. And what these mesh colored boxes are doing is it's alerting you that we're almost to the end of a cycle. You see how this cycle is almost to the end. You see how this emotional E cycle is almost to the end. Now, this physical P cycle is just starting. So when a cycle ends and when a cycle starts, what's happening is it's transitioning between two different plutonic shapes. It's going to go from a shape from a negative to a positive, or from a positive to a negative. And in this case, these are reversed waves. Okay. So we're going in, they're all in a negative or a reverse direction, and it's creating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 polarities are happening out of a combination of the 12 rhythms that are currently in control. So 7 of the 12 are what's happening right now, and those agitations, that's what's on this chart right here. It's showing that there are 7 agitations, and you can see here in a little bit, we're going to get to the top of the chart. There are going to be 8 agitations happening, and then it's going to slowly start to come down. And then when we get to the solstice, it's going to stop. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to fast forward 1 here. And now I want you to see the blue. So this is when the solstice happens. Now look at where the agitations are. All of these rhythms are in the forward direction. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of 12 are going into polarity. And the larger rhythms are going to stay in polarity longer. These rhythms are slower, so these polarities are going to carry on for a day or two. These are going to start to eliminate a little quicker. So when we're looking at this chart and you see how it really elevates and then it kind of drops off and then it stays and then finally it drops off, when this drops off here, what's going to happen is it means that these slower cycles have finally gotten out of that polarity zone. Polarity is just that transition between two different plutonic states. That's all that is. All right, so I'm going to go back to real time here. And now what I want to do is I just want to cycle through a couple users, okay? So here's how I am going to experience this electromagnetic energy, all of this adverse third-person agitation. Now, third-person agitation is going to get people excited and wanting to talk about like bigger philosophical things, like politics, religion, stuff that really shouldn't matter. When we go on the other side of the solstice, right, this is going to cause first person agitation. This is what I'm trying to warn everybody about here in the group. On the other side of the summer solstice, do not let agitation happen within your family, your friends, the people you care about. And it's very likely that this is going to affect everyone. And now I'm going to show you why it's going to affect some people more than others. So at this current moment in time, I'm going to take a look here, and we're not going to talk about this rhythmic information. We don't even have to do that. I'm going to take you to the advanced page, and what we're really going to focus on here is what's going on in these center parts right here. This is showing the physical, the emotional, the mental. This is the macro, micro, macro, micro, macro, micro. Now, the more red a user has in this center portion, the more likely they're going to be affected more during these elevated moments of collected polarity. All right. So when the collective is being affected by these polarity moments, the individuals are all going to experience it different. And this literally says the more green you see, the easier it is to stay calm. The more orange and red you see, the harder it's going to be to stay calm. And you can see I've got quite a bit of red here. So this is the idea of overcoming that internal torment, being that yogi, and then anchoring down and keeping that peace and prosperity and not letting what you're feeling inside make it harder for anybody else or yourself. Now, let's do a couple other users here because I want you to see how this works. So I'm actually going to show you my aunt's rhythms, okay? I'm going to give you an example between my aunt and uncle. Obviously, they're married. They share a household. This would be important to understand. So let's look at my aunt first. So my Aunt Lori, again, we're not talking about this. We're just going to go to this advanced page. This is how she is going to experience this collective moment of agitation. She's got a ton of red, especially in her top rhythms, which are the strongest, lots of red. So it's going to be very hard for her to stay calm, patient. She's likely going to be sensitive to pain today, feeling things more, in addition to having all of this fear, anxiety, and worry that happens when we transition between these negative and positive states. Now let's go back out here and I want to show you her husband, Randy, okay? All right, let's get to him. We're going to give this a second. It all updates. Now we're going to go to the advanced. Look at this. So you have a husband and wife sharing the same house. One is going to experience this way different than the other. And I've helped all my family. I've introduced this technology to them. With my uncle and my aunt, I've helped them understand how to prepare for these moments. So this would be a day where I would say to my uncle, Randy, you're going to be the one that's going to be the anchor here. You got to keep things calm. Obviously, your wife's going to have a little bit of trouble here. He's got children that he also helps out with and grandchildren. He can look at all their rhythms, know exactly who's going to have more struggle, who's going to have less struggle, and it empowers him to be a better servant to his family, to his community, anybody you care about, anybody that's willing to share their birth data with you. You can put them in this tool. You can see how many users I have here and how many people I've been helping to understand how to use this technology and helping them to load all the people that they care about into this so that they can be more prepared. Now, that's the teaser here, okay? This is why each and every single one of you is not only going to want to download this technology, but you're going to want to know and have all the people you care about in here, because when we get to these moments that are going to be difficult, you're going to be prepared to lead them. You're going to be prepared to stay calm. That's what this is all about. That's the teaser. Now, for the guys that are thinking about how are we going to integrate the AI with this, wouldn't it be great if we had the AI where it could do all this for us? So before these moments even happen, it prioritizes who in our family is going to struggle. It prioritizes who needs to be the leader. It prioritizes how we're going to help people get through this moment. That's pretty cool stuff. Now, I want to end on one more thing here. So yesterday I was showing you how every 13 physical macros in the physical, how it synchronizes with the emotional. That's where we're at here. See the emotionals 2-2 and see the physicals 2-2. Why am I showing you this? Because we have a strong emotional macro and we have a strong physical macro, and we're being tested on the 2-2 awareness. Now, you can go to the predictions page. You can look up what the objective for the 2-2 is, but the 2-2 is being tested very heavily today. So people that are not doing this specific objective because it's happening at multiple levels, their body is definitely going to feel it, and they're going to feel it on the left lower quadrant and the right lower quadrant. How am I doing that? So on the technology, we split this into first and third person. If it's purple here and purple here, it tells you to use this guide. And it tells you if it's red and red and yellow on the purple guide, that's the left side of the body. So if any of the team members are experiencing a little bit more discomfort on the left upper quadrant or the left lower quadrant today during this extremely powerful electromagnetic moment, this is why. This is when Shiva and this is when Vishnu are synchronizing together. Okay, that's what's happening here. That's kind of cool way to end this. That's a lot of info here today. Again, this is the teaser, and we're going to build on this as we go forward. I hope to get a couple of other videos made today. We'll see how that plays out. But either way, I'm warning everybody one last time. For the next 36 to 48 hours, definitely find that inner yogi. Do not let yourself be pulled into conflict. And if you're feeling stressed, it's just a challenge. That's all this is. Your internal rhythms are challenging you. The collective rhythms are challenging you. You are capable of this. If anybody needs me, just text me on the WhatsApp app. I will help you through this if it gets difficult or if you need to talk through this. I am here, okay? This is what this is all about, and this is what I'm trying to help you guys see. We want to develop an interactive website that helps to create and establish peace and prosperity throughout our families and our communities, and we're doing it with understanding how space and time works and using that advantage to our benefit and to the collective world's benefit. All right, that's some cool stuff. Let's be done.